Good morning, everybody. Looking forward to an exciting week. I hope it is for the markets. It certainly will be for the country, and hopefully things go well. We start the week with what I'll call a low quality buy setup, which is basically a coin flip here. Prices are in the middle of the range, and support and resistance relatively close. There's really no advantage here unless what? I think day after tomorrow, basically. So, looking at the spiders here, prices ran up into resistance. Obviously, look to the left. You got that topping pattern, the rejection of that resistance, the Fed news, and down things went after the whipsaw. And what a whipsaw it was. You could see there the initial move up into that supply area and slammed right back down. And what was surprising to me was that it didn't get all the way down here. Some strength there, and came into. You'll see I have this marked off on SPX, which we looked at on Friday, as to this area of minor support because it's beyond what's directly to the left. There was nothing directly to the left, just these pivots there, which do come into play, obviously, as you can see, and created that little support area. Prices are pretty much unchanged right now. They were a little bit higher, as you can see. There's my cursor there based on where prices are at, and they're essentially where they were, a little bit above the close on Friday. But this pattern where prices came down pretty much vertically with a wide range igniting bar under this would have been support. You can see right there, that little support area. And it stopped, minor support, and just went nowhere. So which way does it go? So I can define it as a buy setup for the reason of being, let me get my drawing thing out here. The reason being the strength of this move, which took out these pivots, and it came to the next one. What it was supposed to do, right, if the news didn't happen, is it goes sideways, and this bar would have turned into a bottoming tail bar, right, rather than a wide range igniting bar. And then we would have gotten a continuation pattern, maybe up to the 200. So now prices pulled back and got the stabilization Friday. Which way does it go? Well, initial lines in the sand are always the prior day's high and low. And if it takes out the high, well, the next area of resistance is right up here. I'm not interested in that. By the time you get in, if it shoots up, there's going to be sellers, and then you're stuck holding something that could flip right back down. And if it takes out the low, it's got this pivot low right there, which, look, based on this pattern of coming down hard, it should take that out. But with, election coming tomorrow and all that next uncertainty, I don't think it's going to go down very much. I think, again, I think it's going to be in a trading range here, give or take. I think it's going to be whippy, and then we'll see what unfolds after tomorrow. So low quality here. All right, let's look at the futures, then SPX. And you can see they, they're up a little bit, not really moving much. Just, kind of barely, I don't even know if it took out that high. Just eyeballing it looks like it did, but when I look at the 60-minute, I see it's just right up there. 37.95. Could be. Again, what happens today is to take out the low, same story. It's got a void above. I don't know why it might rally, but who cares? If it does, it does. And, support, there's this mess that's down below, but initially 37.60 is on the futures, give or take. And as I look at the intraday structure, I'm leaning toward the long side, right? Because it came down and created the void. Now, how much will it go? I don't know. Overnight we got this resistance, pretty much low odds. And, as I look at the 5-minute chart, I get conflicted in that, hey, if it takes out the low, maybe it goes back down. But, because of the way it went up, it is at resistance. It's going to be one of those days, I think, but let's continue. SPX, I got lines, horizontal lines here, and McGraw is sharing with me 37.95 is a bottom. 37, well, 36.95, yes. 36.95. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the pivot low right there. This was the minor area that we looked at on Friday. So we'll just drag this down here, lined up with Friday's or Friday's action there. So, breaking below here. So let me share this thought. And I'd say, well, and this is a pretty common question. Someone would say, well, Greg, if you think that breaks, it's going to keep going lower. And you would always say lower to where? What I'd say, well, 3,600. There's an unfilled gap down here. And then the question that would come up was, well, what about that? Well, obviously it's there, but I think it would go beyond it. And I would say, well, why? Well, because of the way it came down. It went sideways here. If it gets rejected and breaks, the distance to the next support level is pretty close. So it could turn into a whipsaw, but I wouldn't want to buy it here, depending on how it came down. So, breaking below here, that creating that support, right? Support is demand. Demand turns into supply. A larger area of supply versus a small area of demand, probability of goes through it. Pretty much common sense as I look at it. And so we got a weekly sell set up. Long way to go to the end of the week. So, indecision here. That's what the charts say. And we'll see which way this all unfolds. And I'm not thinking much about SPX today, but there is premium at 38.50, which is where I would have wanted to be above. And so there is this overhead resistance here, but it's not that far away. I just don't want to deal with it. I mean, if it got up there, if for whatever reason the markets would rally and got up into this area, then I would look up here, because then there'd be premium up here and I'd feel comfortable with that. Now, if this breaks, well, then I would look down here and I'd be comfortable with that. But as it sits right now, it's not within my comfort zone because things are too close. But to each his own. All right, NASDAQ down at support. Clearly a place where buyers are going to show up. And maybe this, if it gets above here, we get some upside action there. But the depth of retracement is bearish. Obviously, the way it came down is bearish. Now, elections tomorrow, I don't think it's going to do much, but ignoring the news, what would we want to see from the bearish point of view, considering the way it came down? Look at the weekly chart. It just chops around here. So the same idea that we apply over here, right? Wide range bar down. We want to see prices stay in the lower half, bottom opens and closes, tails might pop up, bodies down here, bearish, it goes lower. Same thing now, right? Wide range bar down, stays down here, break down. And, I got my alert down here, which isn't really lined up with much, but, I've got an alert down there, just for a heads up. It's coming down this little congestion area right there that maybe it tags it. So we'll see. And, close to a whole number. So a little early, heads up. This moron. These bots. Hold on. Gotta block that idiot bot. All right, so this here, again, close to resistance, the rejection. Upside should be limited. Pivot here. Downside should offer some action. All right, look at the weekly chart. And up at resistance. So now the good part about this is, the way this came up, the depth of retracement is supportive of making a higher low, holding this somewhere above that low. whereas, the NASDAQ doesn't have much to go on, to stop it. And I'm just going back to SPX for a moment. There is a relatively significant support area down here. Where it stops, I would guess, if this breaks, closer to 34, 3,300, but we'll see what happens. On the opposite view, I mean, look, if the anticipated red wave should come, I mean, maybe this turns into, I always get confused, Dan, with this comment. Dan coined this as a bear flag, the meet in the middle, where you're, a bullish bar here, you'd call it maybe a bull flag, but it makes sense what he said, with the meet in the middle. But anyway, green bar, red bar, green bar up, we got to be thinking long. But hey, we got a whole week ahead of us to deal with. What do I see in gold? Well, it had a great day on Friday, and we'd have to go to, well, let's see here. Where the hell? The dollar was down, gold popped up, short-term interest rates stayed where they are, and gold is going to be dependent on what the dollar does here. It's at the bottom of the trading range. If gold breaks down, if dollar breaks down, gold should go up. Now, these interest rates aren't going to come down. They're flatlined here, thinking, okay, the Fed, they'll go higher, once the market digests whatever it needs to at this point. But we know, based on what the Fed chair communicated is they're not going to stop. So this should continue to go higher, and that supports the dollar. But I mean, this is the relationship. If the dollar breaks this here, gold should go up and silver should go up. Well, the dollar may be lower right now, but is it breaking that support? That's the key. So cursor, no, it's right down here near this bottom tail bar, kind of bottom tail bar, which is support, just pivot right there. So it's just a mess. If you overlay the market with this, you see that the market stabilized as the dollar ran up, with this little climactic move. And then as it just kind of went sideways there, I might have a chart of that. Here, look. Well, that's not the dollar, it's interest rates. But you can see the, the inverse relationship with interest rates, but I could throw the dollar on there, but, take my word for it. This moves up and down, and that's where the markets are, what they're fixated on right now, interest rates and the dollar. And I've said this before, at some point, I don't know when, but I've been through this before. At some point, the markets will not care about interest rates and the dollar, meaning, whatever's going on, it will not be something that'll be such a correlation or inverse correlation between them. That'll change. So, there's the dollar break down here. You can see it's in an uptrend, more or less a bull type of a flag right now. So nothing leads me anyway to be thinking, in a very strong way, one way or the other. Casey Work sent an email saying that you can trade crypto on your account now. Okay, so they're late to the game, but I guess better late than never. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to trade there. No, silver up, all right, dollar down, top of the trading range. And gold, pop up here a little bit. There's going to be indecision today, Yeah, Steve, the sandwich, what I was talking about, did I say sandwich? I say flag? Flag, I was talking about the dollar being a bull flag up there. The sandwich was looking at the market, whether the weekly reversal lower turns into today a move up. crude oil's improving. You know, last week we talked about this whippy bottoming pattern, and you know, resistance is not too far off, as you can see right there. So no clear direction here either. Jan and I are going to the beach. You know, transports, there's nothing going on here. I mean, there's obviously this thing's going on. What I mean by that, there are no decisive patterns to suggest, hey, this is a good long, this is a good short. We need to see things break one way or the other. So, you know, the idea is we don't want to get chopped up. You know, the 5-year marking time here, 10-year, you know, we're all waiting. Right? The country's waiting, the world is waiting, the banks are waiting, the hedge funds are waiting. And, Bitcoin didn't wait, right? I mean, it's retracing quite a bit, and you know, resistance is up here. You know, it's a pretty decent bottoming pattern. You know, it's whippy, but you know, it had a great day on Friday. Earlier last week, we talked about this move up in the bottoming tail bar, and it just kind of jiggled around. And you know, as the dollar came in, this went up, and so pretty much whippy, erratic pattern here as well. But from this time frame, what we want to see is this wide range bar. We want to see it stay in the upper half of the wide range bar. While support is down here, after a bar like this, it shouldn't get all the way back down there. So that's pretty much it. It's kind of leading to an indecisive day no matter where I look. It's what I saw over the weekend. It's what I see now. And we'll look for the results tomorrow evening, and then where the country goes from there. So, all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, but on elections, there's some talk about us not knowing until December because of a couple possible runoffs, Georgia and I don't know, Pennsylvania. But yeah, I can't wait until it's over. This a mess. Earnings season, we got a ton of ideas here, so I'm gonna have a lot to watch. I noticed last night when I went to bed, the SPOs were down 28, and so that was playing out for the scenario of kind of a 1, 2, 3. And now, I said over Friday's high, I'm bullish, and I just don't know how far it's going to go. So same situation here, but I got directionals and put spread ideas. This is jump right to my big list here. Now this is, well, pro gap has to kind of get above 50 MA, let's call it, and it's retracing here a bit. But that's a very bullish gap. Remember, a pro gap is igniting a new move, and this closed very bearish looking, and now it's a shock over these red bars. So it would be a change from a sideways trend to an uptrend. So that looks great if it can hold the gains. I saw a couple prints here, workday. You know, it's kind of a Climo. I don't know, I'm not crazy about it. I just saw this thing going by the ticker. What the heck is going on with Hootie? God, that is pain. Close at 180 and you wake up and it's 25 bucks. Look at that. Both these bars are now being negated. That is ugly. Here's another one, but this one's a bio. I looked it up, AERV. That's ugly. And pre-market, that is steady selling. So what's up with Trump? This DWAC it's kind of been a dead animal. That's a very bullish gap there too. We can watch him. This GCT. Another pro gap. And this thing went up to 60 bucks in a death trend. And now it's gapping up. I got that in the middle chart right here. EDU, it's a China stock. This is a beautiful example of a bull island reversal. Nasty gap down, 2 bars. You got decisive air on left and right, the unfilled gaps. And then it had a closing breakout. Weekly and monthly look higher. Pre-market, it's holding like a tank. That looks great. I'm gonna put that in a window. But it's Chinese, got gap risk with them. This is Intel I've been watching for many weeks here for bottoming. And it's a small little bull flag, but usually, we want a bigger flagpole. But it's still bullish. It's still bullish. Climactic monthly. BTU. This is Peabody Energy. A nice end of day base on Friday. Let's see, this is not a directional to me, but there's juice at the 24s. That's a $24 put spread idea. Like GDS, I like. It's a small little retest here. It's in a power downtrend. Let's see if it can hold the gains. GDS. So I got a lot of interesting ideas here. Look at UMC was on earnings, big bottoming pattern, 30-minute high. This might go up to 680, $7. Another one, death trend. I think AMTD, I think this is one of these crazy Chinese stocks also, but look at this thing went to $2,400. Let's watch that. Planet Fitness had favorable barons. I like it over Friday's high. A little bull flag here again. Here's my flagpole. And then if it's red bar ignored, I got a price void. I'm going to set an alarm on that. Just at 65, just to get ready. I always set alarms early. Oh, what a Thomas rig. It's opening flat here, had a deep retracement Friday. I don't know, keep an eye on it. DXCM. It is bullish all time frames. The only thing I don't like is it had a big run far from the 30-minute high, I would say fine. But many times these will fail and come down further into the gap fill, but it's strong. I'm going to be in no rush here getting into things. Yeah. This is an example, Fernando, where I say it gives me a headache looking at the overlapping bars. I just hate a pattern like that. But Friday, finally is a closing breakout. It's gapping up from what we call an end of day rally. So, that suggests a pullback. But look, breakout on the monthly. This might go 12, 14 bucks, which do the math. That's massive. I'll put it on the list. WTRG. I guess at least some of these are earnings here. So that's a gap down. NRG. November, India. Bottoming pattern. Friday's high is fine, but I just can't watch everything. So I'm going to start deleting. Lynn. I don't like all the overlapping bars, but if you can get a put spread far enough away would be fine. 44.67. All right, so if the gap holds, it's a breakdown failure. But that is just an observation. It's not a pattern. And there's no pattern, there's no price void. It's gapping right in the middle of this. But we'll come back to it. Maybe it sets up a condor. Charlie Hotel is a hotel. No pattern. WHD opening flats. Well, that's a bull flag. See, here's my flag pole. And there's my 30-degree counter trend trading range retracement. That's strong. But I got better patterns to be watching. This one, 1023. It's a buy setup, gapping up, extended. I don't see much. Really? How active are the Reddit boys these days? You know, they used to have power, but all right, AMC, GME aren't doing anything. You know, a little buy setup here. I see one print at 44. We'll come back to you. Pelletier, no pattern. HAE, that's a buy setup. I see one print at 85.50. If it is gap in there, it's too big. If it opens flat, then you can buy over Friday's high. Fernando, it's just a watch for me right now. You don't have a great price for it because of these 3-4 overlapping bars. HE, continuation higher. HEP, don't like the way it trades and no volume. COS, I was gonna say put spread, but it's only $6 stock. No pattern. Delta Kilo. It shows it up $1.50, but I don't see it. But I like the daily, weekly, monthly. Delta Kilo. So let's watch that. AMR had closing breakout. We'll come back. Meta's gapping up here. Nice pre-market too. So this is a put spread and day trade long idea. It's a Climo stabilized far from the 20. They're going to be doing a bunch of layoffs and talking about other things. Apple, yeah, Meta's the best looking thing pre-market here. Apple has some production problems, so that's gapping down, no pattern. You know, these brokerages and insurance ripped last week. You know, I don't like buying breakouts that are this far from the 20, but look at that strength. Look at Schwab. Schwab I like a tad better because it would be red bar ignored. IEX. I'll say this one I like a little better because you got a gap reversal here, retest. So that's giving me a little more confidence that it's holding. 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. Tyson, potential bottoming pattern. It's been beat up, but you know, higher low. You know, we'll just put it on the watch list. XLU going sideways after a double bottom. Target 50 MA. TAN over Friday's high would be red bar ignored breakout. Commodities here on NEO up alarm. Nice. We got into NEO Friday, a gap up from a W bottom. So let's tighten stop right here. 11:53 because it has earnings this week. Has earnings on the 10th, which is 3 days from now. We have a fairly light inventory. In fact, we're flat in the weekly, which is rare. All right, still. All right, Baxter up alarm. All right, Baxter, go ahead and take the stop for the back half. We had a beautiful, beautiful short on this. This gap down from a 1, 2, 3. Just take your money in Baxter. If it hit the stop, you know, I got my alarms go off early. Tom, if it's under the base, fine, but just with transparency, this doesn't have enough something to me, so it's definitely not a directional. It kind of, you know, when things don't give me somethings, they look like just bearish consolidations in a downtrend. So just, that's my only caveat with that. Still, we're long this. Looks good. SD. I gave as a naked put, and I don't think it's going to get filled with the. It's not going to get filled with the gap up. Where are you, SD?